Hi everyone, and welcome back to DNAngels. My name is Liza Ceballos, and I am a volunteer researcher here at DNAngels.org. Today I want to bring you the story about one of our clients named Katie. She is an adoption story, and like so many stories that we've had on this channel, there's a bunch of twists and turns and dead ends and a little bit of detective work. But in the end, we help to bring her biological truth forward. So let's dive right in. Okay, so a little backstory on Katie. Katie was born in New York. She was a closed adoption, basically zero information on biological family. She was adopted by a Puerto Rican family, and she learned about her adoption later in life. As soon as she learned, she instantly wanted to know more information about her biological family. Her adopted family at first was apprehensive about the whole thing. They weren't really on board with it. Ultimately, they ended up giving her their blessing for her to look for her biological family. And it's understandable. Like, if you think about it, I don't know how I would feel if I had an adopted daughter and she wanted to search for her biological family. Ultimately, I think we secretly want the best for them. And what if the biological family isn't what they might have expected? So I could see their side of things. But ultimately, they did the right thing, and they gave her their blessing. She took a DNA test through Ancestry, and on Ancestry, she found a half-sibling match, her brother. Her brother went on his own personal journey to look for his biological father. He used DNAngels, and he used our founder and CEO, Laura. She helped locate his father. So they knew right away that Katie and him shared the same dad. Ultimately, this led to like a huge family reunion. It was supposed to be like this wonderful event, and she ended up going, and it wasn't what it was cracked up to be. She felt very awkward. She felt out of place. She didn't quite fit in. It was a horrific experience. And she oftentimes would ask Dad about her biological mother in hopes that maybe he had some information. And all he would say was, "Oh, she was pretty." And that was it, like zero information on her. So he wasn't of any use. We took a look at her case, and her case had very low matches, which is unusual because her mom was half Puerto Rican and half, she had a lot of DNA matches coming back to Cape Verde. And if you don't know anything about Puerto Ricans, we love DNA and we love genealogy. I personally think we have to be one of the larger demographics for Ancestry. I alone have 20,000 matches on Ancestry, and that's a lot. And I never thought that was a lot, but working on different cases and working on different ethnicities, I'm seeing more and more like that's just unheard of. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. Why are we like this? So she had no matches, and her matches were really low in centimorgans. The really interesting thing about her matches was that a lot of the matches from Cape Verde, I kept seeing this name come up over and over, which was Alves, or I think it's also pronounced Alves in Portuguese, but it's a Portuguese surname, and everyone with that surname came back to Cape Verde. And it was really interesting because a lot of the descendants of this surname landed all over the US, and it was up to us to figure out where someone Puerto Rican intercepted with somebody from Cape Verde and where that would happen. And because Katie was born in New York, there were assumptions made that possibly this was a main port, main entrance for a lot of people, that maybe, we have a lot of Puerto Ricans in New York, maybe they met in New York, but we kept coming up empty-handed. Then there was a 63 centimorgan match. When we build out trees using your DNA matches, we do something called building a mirror tree, right? Where you grab all your DNA matches, you input them into your tree, and then you try to see like where everybody sort of like intercepts. And that's how you start to develop a common ancestor. And then from that common ancestor, you can kind of branch out to the descendants and slowly eliminate people. And what was really interesting about this 63 centimorgan match, had I just copied her tree, we wouldn't have solved Katie's case, okay? I think it's really important to share this because I think a lot of people just copy. And if you have a match, it's really important that you try to work back as far as possible. You try to attach as much information as possible. The majority of the trees out there on Ancestry only contain direct descendants for that person. So it'll be person, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, grandpa, and then great-grands. No siblings, no aunts or uncles, no additional spouses, anything like that. Half siblings, none of that will be in their tree. So thankfully, we went ahead and we expanded the 63 centimorgan match. And it turns out that she had a great-grandmother. And that great-grandmother was married to a Puerto Rican gentleman. And they were the great-grandparents for our 63 centimorgan match. But that gentleman passed away and the woman remarried. And she remarried, you guessed it, Alves from Cape Verde. There you go. So together we were able to locate about 6 kids to this couple. But here's the problem. I only have the 63 centimorgan match. I have someone that matches her grandmother's line, but I needed more. I needed to tie the Cape Verde DNA to this couple. And we had a higher DNA match. I believe she was about 117 centimorgans. And for the life of me, I could not get a hold of her on Ancestry. We had sent out multiple messages, but Ancestry is not like Facebook. People don't log in every day to check their inbox. So many times we have to sort of think outside the box and use other sources, Instagram, Facebook. Sometimes, you'll find information about people through their jobs, their work. So in this case, we did locate her on Facebook. And we just took a leap of faith and messaged her. I did not hear back. Laura said to me, she's like, add her as a friend. You might be in a message request box. So I did that. I added her as a friend. I sent her a long-winded message, basically begging and pleading with her. And she finally responded. And I remember how I felt like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because I knew her mother's last name was Alves, but she had zero information about her maternal grandfather. So that was the kicker. She responded back, and unfortunately, her life was cut short at a young age, tragically. And her grandmother, who would have that information, was suffering from dementia. So I sort of started losing hope again, thinking like, there's no way they're going to get this information for me. And long story short, she reached out to her aunt in Puerto Rico and they were able to obtain a name. And I had that name in my tree. So I knew right away that they linked back to that same original couple from Puerto Rico. But my case isn't solved. I mean, I still have to go through like 5 other siblings, right? No, yeah, like 5 other siblings that we have to rule out or rule in. One of the gentlemen who had an Antonia Alves Torres listing in her aliases. Right then and there, I think my heart sank. I was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm like sweating. I'm about to start crying. This is like midnight because this stuff never happens like at a normal hour. This stuff has to happen definitely after midnight is when you start making headway on anything that you're working on, genealogy-wise. So thankfully, Laura was awake. I messaged her and I'm like, Laura, are you awake? She's like, yeah, that I think I found Antonia. And she's like, what? So I immediately started sending her all the information. And we located a Facebook for Antonia. And oh my God, she was the splitting image of her mama. Our client looks just like mama. So we did like a side-by-side comparison photo to give to the client. We tried messaging her at night and we didn't hear a response. And then the next morning, I don't think anybody slept. Nobody slept that night. We all woke up very early in hopes of talking to Katie. Finally, Katie woke up and we were able to give her the news. It was very emotional. Like, she was a mess, like tears, like boogies, like the whole nine. There wasn't like a dry eye in the room. Like, we were all like, with our boxes of tissues. Like, we were a mess. We were a messy looking bunch. But in the end, she got her answer. Laura immediately jumped onto Facebook and contacted BioMom. And immediately started asking her questions. Did you ever go to New York? Did you ever give up a child for adoption? Did you, was it a girl? And, everything checks off. This is BioMom. So they finally come in contact, and it was a very emotional experience for her, for everybody. So the client's mom was 18 when she had her. She actually hid the pregnancy from her dad. Her mom helped her hide the pregnancy from her father, and they swept her away to New York to go visit family, and she gave birth. She gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl. Her baby girl was placed for adoption and hidden from the family because she was a product of an unconsensual moment, okay? That's just me trying to put it in the most delicate way that I can put it. And ever since that day, her mom has been looking for her. Her mom has, she's always felt some kind of way about it. And she ended up, having more children. She had another daughter. And together, she had shared her story with her daughter. So her daughter knew, or, our client's half-sister knew about her. And they wanted to search for her, but I don't think they really knew where to start because it was a closed adoption. And it was really interesting because I think when the client finally got on the phone with her sister, they had a lot of similarities, a lot of weird things that they did, similar likes. It was just an instant bond, an instant connection. And most recently, there was a huge family reunion where the client got to meet everybody. She also brought her adopted mama to go meet biological mama, and those two women got to meet. I also wanted to add one thing. Because our client's mom never got to celebrate the arrival of her daughter, Laura did send her a big giant bouquet of flowers with a note attached that said, "Congratulations, it's a girl." And I just, oh my God, that just, mucus, just everywhere, just mucus. Overall, it's been a beautiful, magical experience. So it's cases like this that we have to take a moment and just remember that cases don't get solved overnight. It takes a lot of work, a lot of research, and you can never give up. Never give up hope. Now I want to hear from you. Are you adopted? Did you just learn you were adopted? Are you searching for your biological father? Did you find out that the father that raised you is not your father? Please comment down below and share your story with us. And if you enjoyed the story, also comment and leave a heart emoji for us, preferably green or purple. And we'll see you next time, and thank you for joining us.